Hi. I know I'm terrible. I don't post for months at a time, and then I go and post 2 videos in one day, but it is what it is. I'm going to try to post more regularly, especially since I'm starting that banned books book club. That banned books book club. But I kind of want to talk about some things. Um, First of all, what did I read in February? I read Rosarita by Anita Desai. I felt that it was a mess of a book, but I don't know if it's because it was a translated book. It was just so weird. It was about this woman. She's from India. She goes to Mexico to kind of immerse herself in learning the language. And she runs into this woman who tells her that that she knew her mother. And she's like, no, you couldn't have met my mom. I don't think my mom's ever been here. And the woman's like, yeah, she was here as an artist and she was studying under another artist. And she's like, no. And the main character, her mom's name was Sarita, but the woman in Mexico calls her Rosarita. And then she ends up taking her to like her nephew's house. And the woman has like a breakdown. And then, oh my God, it was such a god awful mess. I did finish reading it. I didn't like it. I read The Fourth Consort by Edward Ashton. Now, when I got this book, I didn't realize that there was going to be a movie coming out of a book that he had written, which is Mickey 17. Because honestly, I've never heard of Edward Ashton before. However, I enjoyed the book. I feel duped because I was led to believe that the book was going to include a lot of giant snails. And as a Labyrinth fan, and I'm sure there's other things that kind of lent to the whole snail thing, probably Alice in Wonderland. That was a caterpillar though. As a crawling thing fan, I was really hoping that it was going to be something along those lines, but it wasn't. So the giant snails, they don't really take over Earth per se, or at least that's what they're letting the humans believe, is that they haven't taken over Earth, but I think that in essence they have. But they're looking for people to hire to go with them to outer space to find planets where there's sentient beings, because sentience does not equal intelligence. And they want to stop these sentient species from self-destructing by their own stupidity. And the main character is picked up at a bar by one of the people who has been traveling with one of the giant snails after he is dumped by his girlfriend in a rather embarrassing way. And they go to this planet where the only thing that comes to mind is like praying mantises and cockroaches when I think of the species that are on this planet. I'm not a big sci-fi reader. And by sci-fi, let me rephrase. I'm not a big space opera, space stars sci-fi reader. It's never really been my thing. I did not expect to like this book as much as I did. I didn't expect to find ways to identify with different species. It was just all really new to me. And so it was that much more enjoyable because I wasn't expecting to like it, but I loved it. I don't want to get too much into the book because I don't want to spoil it for you, but it was great. I haven't read Mickey 17. I will go read Mickey 17 though, because I enjoyed this book so much. It was fun. The Otherwhere Post by Emily J. Taylor. This was a young adult fantasy, I think. And it follows a girl who has been living under different names for a while, because her father, they say, brought the Aldervine to one of the worlds, because there's 3 worlds that were linked together by the written doors. And the written doors, they let people kind of maneuver through the 3 worlds. But when the Aldervine got into the one world where her father was living, it kind of took over everything. And so they burned down the written doors to keep the Aldervine from getting to the other 2 worlds. And now, because there's no there's no like portal that they could just walk through. They have to use cryptomancy, which is written magic, to maneuver through the 2 remaining worlds. And this girl, she's about to leave her job, and move along because she doesn't stay somewhere too long, just in case somebody discovers who she is. I think at this point everybody thinks that she died, when that other world got sealed off, because of the Aldervine, because everybody who was in that world died. And somebody comes out of a portal. They have a letter for her. She's like, can't be for me. They're like, no, it's for you. We don't make mistakes. And she opens it up, and it basically says, your father's innocent. I have proof. Meet me here. The thing is that they are on such a backlog of mail from after the written doors were destroyed that this isn't from any time recently. I believe it's from a couple of years prior. And so the courier that gives it to her disappears, and she sees another courier at some point. She throws an apple at him to get his attention because she didn't think he had heard her. And she asks him questions. She's trying to figure out how to find out who sent the letter, because it just says a friend. She doesn't know who it is. She can't think of who it could possibly be. And the answers that he gives her end up leading her to a school. And so you have this you have a portal fantasy, but you also have like a school of magic thing. I know there's a word for it. Academia, right? Anyway, that's the kind of book it was. But I gotta tell you, like, the cryptomancy magic was pretty cool. I was pretty impressed by it. It's got a little bit of romance in it. It's doable. I was happy with the book. The Unworthy by Agustina Basterica. I don't like it. I didn't like it. It was dystopian, and it made me realize the reason that I have such a problem with people lumping post-apocalypse with dystopianism. Are those the words? They're not the same. When I read post-apocalyptic books, there's usually a person or a group of people moving towards a goal, and they have hope. With dystopian novels, I feel like there's a bright light shining on the worst of humanity. And it circles back to, I don't like reading the horrible, nasty, terrible, brutal things that people do to each other. I don't want to be entertained by it. I feel that if I cross that barrier between being horrified by it, because I will admit I cried with some of the brutality that I read in The Unworthy. I cried. But I feel like if I cross that line between being horrified by it and being entertained by it, there's no going back. And I don't want to be entertained by it. I don't want to be entertained by it. I didn't like it. I won't read anything else by that author. Typescript of the Second Origin. Now, this was a post-apocalyptic book, and it followed a 14-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy who happened to be underwater when aliens came and basically killed everything else on Earth. So she was saving him because he had been thrown into a lake or a pond by some bullies. She dove in after him. He was at the bottom, and they were underwater when whatever happened happened. You don't really find out what happened. Everybody is kind of like dead. They don't seem to have suffered. It seems to be instantaneous. All the buildings have fallen. It's translated, and it's required reading, or it was required reading in Catalonia, which is really interesting. There's some taboo subjects because it's the end of the world. And unfortunately, I guess taboos would probably go out the window if society ceased to exist. But it was a good book. I will say that it took me about half the book to realize that. No, I don't have it here. It took me about half the book to realize that all of the numbered sections, because they're numbered like 1 through 39 of like the different parts of the book, They all started with and. Not all of them. 90% of them, 90 to 95% of them started with and. But that's a testament to how good the book was, because it took me that long to realize it. And it didn't interrupt the flow even after I realized it. It was just like that's interesting. It was a good book. I really recommend reading it. It was definitely interesting. It was like an Adam and Eve origin story. It's like the world was here and then the world wasn't, and then you have Adam and Eve, but right now they're 9 and 14 years old. It was really interesting. Give me a second to figure out what I'm looking at, because I don't know why this is on my book thread, because I didn't read this. The Alien Corpse, a science fiction adventure thriller by P.J. McDermott. I didn't read that. I don't know why that's there. I'm going to have to go back and look at what I read, because Goodreads is actually funny. That's another thing. It has this book. It has like Kindle. It's got a picture of Kindle like book on it, and then it says author not available. And I keep clicking remove from challenge. I've removed it from this challenge like 80 times. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And then The Warbler. I read The Warbler by Sarah Beth Durst. Now, Sarah Beth Durst, years ago, before I really got into reading advanced reader copies, I got an advanced reader copy. I think it was probably from a Goodreads contest of The Girl Who Could Not Dream. And it's got an animal companion in it that is just so freaking cute. I loved it. It was a middle grade book, but it was adorable, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So when I saw that this adult magical realism gothic listed book was up for grabs, I jumped on it and I got it, and I liked it. I really liked it. I think Sarah Beth Durst has a kind of, the way that she writes, I'm trying to think of a good way, but it's like a cozy, mesmerizing kind of way. I don't think it was magical realism, and I don't think it was gothic. I don't know why that is listed as the genres of this book. I guess if you stretch really hard, you can get there. But it was about a girl who couldn't stay in one place because her family, well, the women in her family were cursed. If they stayed in one place for too long, if they started to feel like it was home, if they started to put down roots, then the roots would come. Their blood would turn to sap, there would be leaves growing in their hair, and eventually they would turn into a tree. I get that to an extent. That sounds like it could be magical realism, but the magical realism books that I've read have a certain mood to them that I didn't get with this one. And it goes back to her style of writing being like cozy, mesmerizing. But I did enjoy it. I don't know how I got watching these videos, but somebody posted a video of their reading journal. And I ended up spending days watching all these booktubers that I had never heard of post about their book journals, and they're putting their book journals together, and they're getting the washi tape, and they're cutting things out, and they got the those fancy pens and the highlighters and all that stuff. I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. Not thinking that I really hate fancy journaling. Like I can't even journal right. Like when I'm writing my journals, I'm like, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay, this is how I felt. Okay, that's it. Like I'm not, like, my journals could never be published. First of all, because nothing really interesting happens in my journals, but also like the way that I write my journals isn't for entertainment purposes, I guess. But I watched so many of those videos. I went and got a journal. Now let me tell you something. This is from Little Inklings. I can't remember which booktuber. I ended up following a couple of booktubers that I had watched do their book journaling. I can't remember which one it was that had the Little Inklings, but I did go through the link that they had on their video, so they ended up getting the promotion or the money for it or whatever. But I got it's got like tarot cards on it. It's got the reader, the TBR, the collector, the night owl, the love story. It's really cute. And it's got like the different things. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, I didn't know I was ordering it from Canada. And this was right when the tariff scare started going into place. Um, and I ordered it, I think at the end of January, and I didn't get it until like after the middle of February. And so by the time I got it, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to not start with January on the first tab. I'm going to start with March. And so I haven't really done too much in it. I have put a couple stickers in it. Let me see. I did do some little crafting stuff. I went to Michael's for my daughter, but I got this at Michael's. The nameplate and then the sparkly letters. Okay, so my daughter, she's gotten into making these candy bracelets, Kandi candy bracelets, because when she was telling me she's gonna make candy jewelry, I was like, that doesn't sound like it's gonna go the way you think it's gonna go. And then she's like, Mom, it's not what you think it is. So she uses pony beads and she makes these bracelets. I wish I had one on me. Oh my God. They are so cute. And she does like these fancy things where she makes them like this thick, and they part of it like swirls around the other, and she made this rainbow road looking one, and she wanted to put either Mario or Luigi in a cart on it, so that when she fidgeted with it, when she twisted it, I forgot what she called it, that it would be, running on the Rainbow Road. We couldn't find, because I know we have Mario and Luigi cars somewhere. We have like a bunch of toys. My husband loves toys. He's got so many Masters of the Universe toys. It's taken over our room. We have like two or three shelves just full of Masters of the Universe toys. But we couldn't find the cars, and so she ended up putting a butterfly on it. But it still looks pretty cool because when she twists it, it looks like the butterfly is flying around her wrist. It's really cute. But that's why I went to Michael's, so that she could get some more beads, some string to make her things. I'm not gonna go over my whole. Don't worry, I'm not gonna go over the whole thing because I haven't even done the whole thing. And I got the months, the dates to remember. So like here, I just put like if I have TBRs or no ARCs, if I have advanced reader copies, the date that it comes out. That way I'm trying to save on top of it. I'm trying to get that 80% in NetGalley. And then I had a list that I had made at the beginning of the year of all the books that I wanted to read. And so I did put that list here. And I'm already going on to like other books that aren't on the list. Not because I'm checking the list, just because I mean you get it. You can't stick to the list with reading, especially as quickly as books come out. This is why I started this. Okay, so quotes. My husband had gotten me a notebook. It was a Stranger Things notebook that he found somewhere, and he knows how much I love Stranger Things, and he knows how much I love notebooks, so he got me the Stranger Things notebook. I was like, what am I going to use this for? And I started writing down quotes from books that I was reading into the Stranger Things notebook, but then I saw all the BookTube videos about the reading journals, and I was like, oh, let me get a reading journal. I can put it in the reading journal. Feels like a waste of money, especially as much as I paid for it. Oh my God. Because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep up with this. I'm not a great journaler. But I did put any book worth banning is worth reading. I can read backwards, see? If you missed that video, I am starting a book club. I will make an honest effort to be more present on other social media other than YouTube, even though I'm not exactly present on YouTube either. But I am going to start a banned books reading book club thing, and go on Discord and Fable and all that stuff. So I am posting a video of it. That's the other one that's coming out today. What am I reading? Right now I'm reading Heartwood by Amity Gage. Now, I saw Appalachia in the description, And I thought it was going to be up there with the other Appalachian books that I've been reading lately, and it is absolutely not what I was expecting, but it is so much better. So if you've been following along with the reviews of the previews, you know that I've read a lot of like Appalachian magic books, witchy stuff. This is about a woman who was hiking the Appalachian Trail and got all the way to Maine. I think she was 200 miles away from her goal, and she disappears. And it is so good. Oh my God, I can't put it down. It's really, really good. It's got like parts of her diary. It's got parts of the warden who's looking for her. It's phenomenal. I'm also going to start reading My Side of the Mountain because I want to. This is one of those books that I read when I was a kid that stuck with me. I haven't read it in over 30 years. So I'm going to be reading this. And then, of course, 1984. If you're following the Banned Books book club that I'm going to be doing, the first one that we're reading is 1984. I do have a wheel. You can go watch the video. I spin the wheel for the second book. That way people can start getting ready. If you're going to do the read along, you can start getting ready. So the second book was Beloved by Toni Morrison. So there's that. And that is all I had for updates today. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe below.